Hello and welcome. You are watching Christ Church of Flagstaff Sunday Sermon. In our Fruit of the Spirit series, we'll be talking about patience today. But before we dive into the sermon, I have just a couple of things I would like to bring to your attention. Good morning, Christ Church of Flagstaff. We are so happy that you have chosen to worship with us this morning. Before we dive into the sermon, there's just a couple of things that I'd like to bring to your attention. If you are new with us or visiting this morning, we would love to point you to the New Here tent. It's a big teal tent. You can probably find it in the hospitality room. Sometimes it's on the patio as well. There's volunteers there. They would love to help answer any questions you have, point you in the right direction of where you need to go, or just help you get connected. On July 17th, we have our upcoming opportunity for Next. Next is just a little time that we get to share lunch with some of the staff members and you who choose to join us. You get to learn about the resources that we have here at Christ Church of Flagstaff to guide you and your family towards health. If you and your family are interested in joining us at Next, you can find all of the information in your dashboard. You can locate your dashboard in our app or on our website. Once again, we are excited to be the host for GLS, which is the Global Leadership Summit. We love hosting Global Leadership Summit because it allows you and those in Northern Arizona to invest in your leadership. And that doesn't just have to be at work. That's at home and in every relationship that you have. GLS will be held here in our main auditorium on August 4th and 5th. That is a Thursday and a Friday. And currently we have rolled back early bird pricing. So if you want to save $90, it's only for a limited time, but we wanted to let you know that we have that pricing for you. If you are interested, you can find all of the information in your dashboard. We love to be the host site for Global Leadership Summit, and it's because of your generosity and your financial partnership that we have the building and the space to be able to do that. And so I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your financial partnership to allow things like this to happen. If you are not a financial partner with CCOF and you desire to be, you can check out the multiple ways you can partner with us on the screen here.
Yeah, so I started going to GLS, I think about 5 years ago. I went by myself the first year, and then ever since then, I have gone with my entire office staff. Yeah, so I think that leadership development is really important, obviously in the workplace, but then when I become a better leader and when we become better leaders, I'm a better father, I'm a better husband, I'm a better volunteer at church, I'm a better leader in the office and also with my clients. And so I just really believe in leadership development for myself, my staff, my family, and when we get better, all of our organizations get better. So what I take away from GLS are the stories. And so I don't remember, it's been several years ago now, but the leader of Ritz-Carlton gave a speech, and basically that presentation was about how every person at every level of the organization is empowered to do what's in the best interest of their customers. And this is where the world-renowned service of Ritz-Carlton comes from. And so I just like taking those little stories away. And one of the speakers I'm looking most forward to this time is Bob Iger, who ran Disney for many years, is going to be there. So I'm really excited to see him. Yeah, so when we show up in the morning, there's just a bunch of tables facing the big screen. One of the other big takeaways that I get is the networking. So I've met judges at the GLS, other community members, and I also get to meet people who go to different services that I don't see all the time at church. So we just It's a video conference, then we all go to lunch. Typically I go to lunch with somebody who I've never met before, so I get to meet new people that way, and then we come back in the afternoon and do more videos with breaks, and there's way too much food and drink, and it's a great time. Yeah, so I think it's wonderful time spent away from the office. It is, Thursday's a longer day than Friday, if I recall correctly. And I think it was Abraham Lincoln that said that if you gave him 4 hours, I'm gonna get this story wrong, but if you gave him 4 hours to cut down a tree, you spend 3 hours sharpening the axe. And this is incredibly important time to sharpen the axe.
Good morning. Well, so glad you're here, and just welcome. And we're so excited to share this time together. I'm Chris, pastor here at the church in the New Year tent. You saw the bounce houses. It's a great day to hang out, spend some time. Well, you just heard Derek talk about, thanks to Derek Jackson for giving us that kind of just testimony. His Leadership Summit, there's your code, that GLS 22 team. If you want that discount, we cannot emphasize this enough. You're a person that has influence. You have influence in your family, in your neighborhood, at your job. You don't have to be the boss or like Derek, a business owner, to be a leader, to have influence. Many organizations in town offer continuing education credits for this, including the school district, the hospital. So if you want more information on any of that, we can help you with it. It is before school starts, I think, for most of us, and would love to see all of you there. And I just want to acknowledge, it's 4th of July. Like, it's a great day, right? To celebrate the country we live in, our independence, and eat hot dogs and do American things that are just amazingly fun. So whatever you're doing to celebrate the 4th, I hope it's awesome. And the people that aren't here, tell them they missed a great service. But we are just happy to live where we live and the blessings that come with. So whatever you do, have fun, be safe, don't burn anything. Anybody remember what these are? An encyclopedia set, right? Like, let me explain something. This is not meant to be like, you're young, so you don't know anything. These are books. If you're under the age, 30, and this is how you found out things. In Oklahoma, where I grew up, I couldn't find these in a store. Somebody came to my house. This guy would walk around the neighborhood and talk my mother into educating her children through a set of books like this. So my mom bought the encyclopedia set. A couple weeks later, this same guy came by with the books. And then we would go to the shelf and take out, we wanted to learn about something. And we couldn't just hey Siri, what currency do they use in Albania, right? And Siri will tell me. Or today we have Wikipedia. We used to have encyclopedia. And it was just a place to learn things. And I remember as a kid, I loved our encyclopedia set because I could read about places I was never going to go. I could see what the flag of Albania looked like. It's in the A section. So, some of you are going, that's the slowest thing I've ever heard. I know. And if it wasn't in our encyclopedia set, this one's kind of mediocre, only 14 volumes. You know where you'd have to go to learn something if it wasn't there? A library. Because nobody knew these things that we know today. They did, but we didn't have. So this is just, I want you to think about how different the world is. I don't feel like I'm that old. But we shifted from encyclopedia to iPhone, really fast. One example, we could spend tons of time reminiscing about things that are different from 20, 30, 5 years ago. And the pattern is life just keeps getting faster, doesn't it? I can get things. You can order meals, pre-cut, seasoned, and put together, delivered to your front porch that you put in your microwave and have a really nice dinner, right? Fast. Everything's fast. It's quite impactful to us. In this world of fast and quick and easy and convenient and painless, we got to talk about patience today. Because fast and patience are like arch enemies sometimes. These are the fruits of the Spirit. This is what we're talking about all summer. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace. Say patience. You're online. Type patience in the comments. We'll wait. Go ahead. Good. Thank you. Kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control. This list and where we're going is all summer. You have this booklet. I don't know where I put mine. Oh, here it is. Like this, right? Everybody bring their book? Because this is a great tool. This is just meant to help us. I hope you did the assessment at the front. If you haven't or you're catching up, we can get you a book. You go, where am I good? Where am I weak? And I've heard a couple people say, Chris, every week you're giving us something to do. I can't do all these things. I know I don't want you to do all these things. I want you to find the one or two that your dot's a little too close to the center. And go, that's the one I'm going to work on. And then in 6 months, maybe you're better at patience if you do a couple of things I think will help me with patience. And you realize, man, I need a little more joy or faithfulness. All these words are defined, and you're taking this, you just look, see, where am I, and how can I grow, and what can God do? And then later you work on the other ones. And you have what you need to get started if you put this to good use. If you're not here, you watch online, listen to the podcast. But that's what we're trying to do this summer, is grow in these fruit of God's Spirit living inside of us. And sometimes it's hard because we live in this world that works against these things sometimes. Not even in bad ways or, Wikipedia is not bad compared to encyclopedia. It's just faster. So I don't practice patience. So let's talk about what is patience. Here's our definition. It's in your book. Enduring for the sake of others. The thing about patience, I think why it's so important, is because when you and I lack patience, when you live in this mode of life that I often find myself in. If you heard last week, I talked about I'm not sure why I have to preach patience. It was just God's mean trick to me. And then it gives me a whole week of ways to practice patience. If you want to learn something, just commit yourself at some point in the future to teach a group of people about it. God will teach you some lessons. But when you lack patience, when I lack patience, what happens is we find this, what I describe as this internal churn. We start to have this voice, this inner monologue, maybe this angst, this low grade. You're always a little angsty when you're not patient. You're always a little angry, on edge, life isn't going my way. People aren't doing what I want, and what I want isn't happening, and the speed I want, and that's not permanent. Some people think, well, I'm just impatient. This is how I am. Maybe. It's not how you have to stay. You're choosing to stay there. God gives us paths. He gives us opportunities to grow, to change, to be better. And the solution is building patience. If I were to sit down with a really impatient person, or you were to sit down with me in my impatient seasons or moments, I'd be like, you know what would make me more patient? If they would be different. Because then I wouldn't have to put up with their whatever. Right? Anybody ever hear, of course that's what we think. That's kind of how impatience works. Enduring for the sake of others. Because others aren't going to change. You're like, well, they should. Yeah, maybe they should. But we're not talking about them. We're talking about you. We're talking about me. Life's uncontrollable. It's unpredictable. Even if you could get the person who's causing you to be impatient to change, somebody else would cause it. Some other situation would arise. That's how it works. So learn patience. Be able to do better with those. Why? For the sake of others. Why not just enduring hard things or having patience? Well, this is a biblical definition of patience. It's not, if you were to find a paper dictionary, not what you would find. Because this is the definition of what Jesus told us to do. And remember, this is the fruit of his Spirit. John 13:34, if you need a reminder, love one another as I have loved you. The level that Jesus loves you is the test. Are you loving enough? Whew, that's hard. So we have to grow in patience. Endure for the sake of others. Because that's the whole point of following Jesus, isn't it? And what gets in the way of that? Every week we're going to talk about challenges. We're going to talk about strategies. And this week there's only one challenge to patience. Me. Not me for you, you for you. Yourself. Myself. I'm bent, I'm wired, and so are you, to want life to be about you. Right? I want to be in charge. I move the pieces on the chessboard of my life to get what I want. My comfort, my pleasures, my enjoyment. And when life is all about me and something disrupts that, I'm not patient. As long as it's going my way, I could be as patient as anyone. It's challenging, isn't it? To endure for the sake of others? What's that going to cost me, Chris? What am I going to have to give up? What am I not going to have or experience? What if I miss out on something? See, maybe a test, because some of us don't think we're impatient. If you take small inconveniences personal, like here's an example. Someone's driving down the road really slow. And you say something like, don't they know I'm in a hurry? Or why are they trying to ruin my day? A waitress, a slow driver, that pedestrian who takes the whole green light and isn't supposed to be walking but is, like you're just like, and you take that personal. We do that, don't we? I remember sitting down and eating a meal with someone who was eating in a way that was kind of disruptive to me. Their mouth was open. And I was like, ugh, why are they trying to ruin my meal? And then my rational mind goes, this is just how they eat. It's not about me. That's just how slow people drive. They're not trying to ruin your day. They're just trying to go slow. Like that's their preferred method. You know what? How I drive, I put my CCF sticker on the right, the passenger's back window. So when I pass you, you know who's winning. You see it. Right? You look at me coming by. It's right there. The Christ Church of Flagstaff logo. Jesus loves you. Drive faster. Or move over. Be patient. It's me. I'm the challenge. Be patient, brothers and sisters, until the Lord's coming. See how the farmer waits for the land to yield its valuable crop, patiently waiting for the autumn and spring rains. You too be patient. Stand firm, because the Lord's coming is near. I cannot think of a profession that'd be like the worst. I mean, I have no patience for watching things grow, waiting for seasons to come. Like a farmer, like I watch it, and we're so impatient to think about like this, waiting for nature to take its course sometimes. It's just so long. We gotta speed it up. We gotta have it now. God's word over and over again speaks of patience. And just this picture of the way the land, the way our planet works, is a beautiful picture. That God has a timing of things. And it doesn't often match our timing of things, does it? So if me and my agenda and my selfishness gets in the way of patience, what's a strategy? I'm going to share, I have two. First one is choose slow. Choose slow. Slow. Wherever, and if you're like, I already do that, good, then this week's, you're going to need to like apply some of the things on love or joy or peace. Come. But some of us, we can't even, like this is reprehensible to our DNA. Choose slow? No way, Chris. Faster, more efficient, quicker, more. more effective? What if you just took the long way to work? How do you choose slow? Just drive a different way. I know that if I leave my house in University Heights and I go down Lake Mary Road and up Lone Tree, it is a much more pleasant and beautiful drive to look at the surroundings, trees, things like that, than if I go on the interstate or I go Milton to Butler to come here. And to go the way that's a little better view is 3 minutes slower than the interstate. What if you just choose slow and you appreciate some trees as you're driving instead of getting frustrated by trucks on the freeway? It's simple. Maybe it's just walking more, driving less. Maybe it's letting other people go in line in front of you just because you want to be slow. Some of your hearts are going, man. Maybe it's even just going into where there's a line and not making someone bring the groceries to your trunk, where you opened it with a button and closed it with the same button. Choose slow. And these conveniences aren't bad, like grocery pickup, like Grubhub bringing me some food. That's not bad. But it's just me staying addicted to fast, to convenient, to service of me. But we have to train to be patient. I don't know where you need to be slow. Where do you feel it? Ask God, like, where could I go a little slow? Leave your phone. A while back, I left my phone accidentally at home when I came to work. Oh, my goodness. I didn't know how. I almost went back home, and I was going to, skip a couple meetings. I thought, no, it'll be fine. And I let my wife know, hey, if you need to call somebody else here, and they'll find me. And it was a really good day. In between meetings, instead of looking at Facebook, I just got to think. I got to take a breath. I walked around the building once, not miraculous things, my friends, but it was just one day. And choosing slow, if I was doing that better, I'd have left it there the next day too, but I didn't. You got to choose slow. It's not going to show up accidentally. One of my favorite places that I watch people in our church, and I've experienced it myself, choosing slow, is we go to Mexico, build houses in Puerto Penasco with the More Ministries. I mean, everything's slow. The line to get your breakfast burrito slow. Building the house is slow. We do it with hammers like this. Not like this, because this isn't as manly as a manly hammer. It's like medium hammer for me. And you use nails. You don't use a nail gun. You don't use power tools. We use a handsaw. It's slow. We're choosing slow for a lot of reasons. And my favorite part of choosing slow are those guys who can just build the house without any of the rest of us. It's typically guys. There's some females too. We're just there to grab stuff for them, it seems like, because they're awesome at building things. It's guys like this. Here's Chad Ocker. He's built his own home that his family lives in. I don't even know how to start that process. And he's getting this corner ready for someone to frame up. We do it really slow. Guys like Damian Glassy, who I saw, Bob Heiser, Tim Womack. I mean, a bunch of you guys and gals. You can just build stuff. And I've watched these guys, like Tim, I've been on his house several builds. He'll take a nail, get it tapped in, and then in 2 strikes, it's all the way in flush. And it's because he's got a bigger hammer, right? Thing's got waffle print on the front. It's awesome. And he's amazing. But you know what those guys do? Every single one of them I've watched do this, and it's my second favorite thing of the whole trip, the whole build, is they let kids do it. I've seen all those guys, and so many of you and others, hold a nail for a child who does that for about 1.5 minutes. And then you reach your hand over and you help them do a little bit harder, and a little bit of the nail goes down, and then you let them just for another 1.5 minutes. They could do it in 2 or 3, they know how to do it. Because there's no way. This is Brett. This is Chad's son. Brett's way older now. He's going to be super mad that I did this. But he's in middle school. He won't know. There's no way he can drive that nail in fast the way he's positioned. And his dad, is standing there watching him with a smile on his face. And when Brett's done, you know what's going to happen? Huge smile. I've seen young girls, kids, teenagers never learn how to do any of these skills. Somebody chooses slow, and they get to participate in building a home for a family. And those kids, those construction professionals and experts, you know what we all do together? My favorite part of the trip is when we hand a family who've been living in a car or some sort of shack or out back behind somebody else's house of family members, we hand them keys. And they have a door they can lock. And for many of those families, it's the first door they've ever owned. And we're all just bawling like babies because for 3 days we chose to go slow. And the kids, they're part of it. To grow in patience, you have to choose slow. Maybe another way you could choose slow is, there's lots of ways. But one you might consider, I hope you consider, because we have a great need in our children's ministry. Maybe part of your slow is say, my Sunday at church is just going to be about 90 minutes longer, so that you could either come and worship at 8:30 and serve now, or come now and worship and stay and serve at 11:30. Lots of options. You'd be choosing slow with some kids, with some families, because maybe it's the slowdown you need to grow in patience. This picture of Carrie Grisolano, she's been a part of our church for a really long time. About 13 years. I asked her the other day, I called her on the phone to talk about patience. We ended up talking about kids ministry for a long time. Because she said working with kids helps her be patient. I was like, why didn't I think of that? That's why I called a patient person. It's her, she's teaching 4 and 5-year-olds in this picture recently. She's been teaching Sunday school 13 years at our church. Before that, 20 years at another church, 33 years. Carrie's been teaching children. She's pretty excited because she realizes that she's about to teach her 3rd generation of some families. Not quite yet. She said it's coming really quickly. She's going to teach the grandchildren of the first kids she taught here in Flagstaff. Isn't that crazy? She just retired from 42 years working at Gore. I mean, this is a lady who's committed. She'll do stuff for the long haul. She's one of those people that when I just think of patience, she came to my mind. I called her. I texted her the other day. I said, hey, can I call you later? I'm working on my sermon. It's about patience, and I don't have much of that, so you're an expert. She's like, well, I don't feel like an expert, but if you want to call me. I'm retired now, Chris. I got lots of free time. And I said, hey, you would preach on this topic way better than me. And if you were, what would you tell people? How would you tell them to be more patient? What helps you be patient? Because it's not natural. And she said, it's teaching kids. It's the first thing she said. She said, it's slow. You don't see an immediate result. 4 and 5-year-olds don't come and like, hey, you changed my life last week with that talk, Miss Carrie. That story of Noah, thank you. It doesn't happen. She says that you have to take the long view. 33 years. You don't have to take that long a view. Like that might be daunting, but what if just 3 months? What if 6 months, a year, you committed to being slow, serving kids? Because here's the thing, and she mentioned it too, when we can take care of more 4 and 5-year-olds, which there aren't anybody taking care of them right now at this service. We need children's ministry at this service desperately. It's the lack of volunteers. Next service, it ends at 1st grade. We can't do 2nd through 5th grade because we don't have enough volunteers. So you know what happened when those parents got that email? Most of them, 2nd through 5th grade, said, we're not going to church tomorrow, Sunday. We'll go next week, maybe. Because friends, we're serving their parents. Yes, these kids need to hear about Noah and Jesus and God's love. Desperately need to hear about it. Their parents need it too. They need to be here and connect with their friends and others, hear God's word, worship him. And I would tell you this, if you look at our world, you look at our country, and you go, this next generation, I don't get them. They're off like track. Then you need to serve their kids. If you look at, because we talk about things like, hey, millennials, they're hopeless. Like I hear people say that. I've never said that out loud, but and if you're a millennial, I love you so much. And if you look at generations behind you, or in front of you, or around you, look at your peers and go, they need Jesus, they need help, then get in there helping so we can serve them and their kids. Because they're not coming to church. Because we don't have enough volunteers. Because millennials aren't 18, they're 35. They have 5-year-olds. We can serve them. We can go slow. And you're like, I don't like kids. I'm too impatient. I know, that's the point. You can grow in your patience by letting kids hammer nails slowly or some other thing, or serving in our kids' ministry. It can just start real simple with a text. Carrie said, if you're going to talk, you can't share what I'm going to tell you on this phone call unless you talk about people serving in kids' ministry. I said, okay, you're in charge. She talked about her mornings with God. She said in her business, in her work career, all these years, 4 decades, one company, she said, when I was going into a conversation or a meeting that I knew would be stressful, I intentionally took some time and reminded myself to listen to the other person and to be patient and kind and loving. She paused, like ways to be patient from an expert. Where do you go too fast? Maybe your Sunday morning's too fast. Maybe it's every morning. Where are you driving nails too quickly and not letting someone else join? One of the things, if you go to our message notes on your app, there's a couple articles talking about raising toddlers. So if you have young kids, preschool age, young elementary, you have grandkids, nieces, nephews, people you know. I read these articles the other day. Someone sent them to me. They knew I was talking about this. It blew my mind that if you let a child help you do a task that they're not good at around your home, just simple things, scrambling eggs, 4 or 5 years old, and you're like, get out of here. You don't do it right. I'll do it. You're actually, or you're like, I can't ask them to help. They're children. Or I'm going to bribe them when they help. All of those behaviors lead to entitled, non-cooperative teenagers and adults. It's been proven over and over again. If you just let children help you do things, they will be helpful adults. They'll be really pleasant later in life. You find all that there. If you don't want to go to the app, just email me, Pastor Chris at ccf.church, and we'll send it to you. Because I find things like this in God's word. Start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it. This is mistaught a lot. And I won't get into all that. But what it could be alluding to is things like what we find in research and observation today is that if you help a 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old be a servant, you help them go slow and you're patient, it changes them later in life. It absolutely does. And that's not our default. See, being patient's really important for the next generation. And maybe that's what this alludes to, instead of some of the ways we take it. First week, Stephen said if you want to grow in love, you got to practice radical generosity. We said if you want to be more joyful, you need to serve others. If you want to grow in peace this summer, I challenged you last week. Take the next 30 days and practice simple prayer. And man, if you are ever going to teach on patience, just be ready for a week ahead of it. God's like, here, try to be patient. So for me, that simple prayer, this week was awesome and so needed. If you're going to grow in patience, choose slow. And here's the last one real quickly. Practice solitude. To grow in patience, you need to choose slow. It won't find you. And practice solitude. Jesus, after one of the busiest days of his early ministry, healing people, teaching about the kingdom of God, the verses preceding this in Mark 1, the eyewitnesses said that very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. Was there more work to be done? Yeah. Were there more lessons to teach? Were there more people who needed healing? Yes. We see that in the text. Jesus chooses slow and solitude. I want you to start training yourselves to surrender your life and your agenda, your me, your fast. Well, what if you took time to do this very thing for part of a day, for half? What if in the rhythm of your life you had a whole day set aside of solitude with God? Again, in the app, there's two different examples. One for myself that I've used and written, and one from another pastor, a friend of mine. And they just walk you through what a day looked like. And some of you are going, whoa. I got stuff to do, man. I got work, I got family, I got projects. I know, me too. And to step out of that and say, here's a day where I'm going to do it different. Here's a few hours. Here's half a day. Here's an afternoon or a morning. And this is so stage of life. If you are in that spot with young kids, we were just talking about, man, I did not do this when my kids were young. But there came a point where this practice of solitude was introduced to me, and I tell you right now, I would probably not be standing here if it weren't for days set aside of just silence and solitude with God. You don't start with the whole day, maybe you start with part of it, but it's there. You have some resources. It requires a slowdown. It is transformative to your life. And you just start where you are. To grow in patience, I have to choose to be slow. You're going to have to choose it too. You have to find times of solitude. It's just what it takes. And we can grow in this. We can see a different path that will be for the benefit of those around us. We're going to celebrate communion. Because it's a practice in slowing, isn't it? We pause and we don't do anything new in communion. And maybe this is new to you, and you're like, hey, I don't know what you're talking about right now. That's okay. So glad you're here, and you can just kind of take this in and hear the explanation. If you choose to, there's a little wafer under that cellophane. It's bread that reminds us of Jesus' body. There's juice in this cup that represents just a picture of his blood. What gave us the grace we sang about earlier. And when you connect your life to Jesus, he says, pause. Choose a moment of slowness. With my family, with each other, to celebrate communion, this Lord's Supper. Just a moment to remember. So we take bread, remembering Jesus' body given for you and I. And this cup, as I said, the reminder of his perfect life, his blood poured out for you and I. The song we're going to sing next, it's called Make Room. And it's so perfect. this picture of slowness is we just need to declare. And what this song is really, in my mind, a declaration of us surrendering our life, our agenda, our selfishness, our busyness, our speed, our selfishness, our traditions, maybe even our religion. It gets in the way of what Jesus has for us, because his way is better. It's always better than my way. If you want to talk to somebody, you want to pray with someone, a couple of our team will be in the back where it says prayer and the lights will be on. Maybe it's just praying for patience. Last service, every service, someone's back there. It's maybe the day for you. Jesus' way is better. That's what we know. And we can find it. We can surrender and make room for his way in our life. Would you declare that as we stand and sing together this song?